Gino's Pizza and Grill here on Alexis Road in Toledo, Ohio. Very happy to have on our bench racing hotline Vice President of Business Development and Corporate Partnerships for ARCA, Mark Gundrum joins us. Hey, Mark.
Hey, Steve. Hey, Charlie.
Mark, how are you?
I'm good, Charlie. Long time no see.
It has been a while, but we will see you, I assume, this Sunday at the Menards 200s presented by Federated Auto Care this weekend.
Coming up Saturday and Sunday at Toledo Speedway, the first and only ARCA Touring Series race of the year for the National Tour.
Hey, we're pretty upset about that deal, by the way. I hope you understand that, is that it's only going to be one race this year. Talk about that a little bit and why that happened and how it's a good thing, actually, for the ARCA Series.
It's good for ARCA and what we refer to as the National Tour, the series that will be visiting Toledo Speedway this weekend. We had an opportunity to add two new markets to the tour, two new tracks to the ARCA Racing Series this year, one of which we've already visited, Mobile Speedway back in March, southern Alabama, down on the coast. And coming up in about 2.5 weeks, we'll be up here near where I am this week at Elko Speedway in the Minneapolis market. It, as you guys know, has no real professional big-time stock car racing anywhere nearby. It's good for us to be able to spread out the series. Of course, we have heard some feedback about having just a single tour race at Toledo Speedway this year. Didn't really just happen by accident, though, and I think a lot of people already are aware that we have hosted this spring race on the weekend before Memorial Day for many, many years, dating back to at least probably 02 or 03, maybe even before that. And the second date, the fall date, has moved around a bit. We run it in September on a Friday night. We've run it the weekend after Labor Day. A couple of years, we run it as the ARCA Championship event, in early to mid-October, and weather's been dicey at best. We also race at Kansas Speedway in the fall with the NASCAR Spring Cup and Nationwide Series. Kansas is paving the track. A lot of people saw that. They actually started that construction project right after the spring race. And they've moved that fall Cup and Nationwide and ARCA event back 2 weeks to October 19th. There's really no way we could come back to Toledo on October 26th or November based on the weather. So
Sure.
We'll end our season at Kansas on October 19th. Unfortunately, it means only one race at Toledo this year, but by no means does that mean that will be the case going forward.
Well, obviously, you have a new title, Vice President of Business Development and Corporate Partnerships. Talk a little bit about some of the things that have changed as far as your duties at ARCA and some of the things that have changed at ARCA moving forward as well.
Well, part of what I just talked about falls right in line with what some of my new responsibilities are, is finding ways to expand the ARCA Racing Series, our core product, take it to new markets. And certainly we all know how important sponsors are to racing. So the Elko event is really driven by our series presenting sponsor, Menards. Minneapolis is Menards' second largest retail market, and they've asked us to bring an event there for the last few years, and it took us 2 years, but we were able to find a partner, make the event make sense, and bring ARCA Racing to the city of Elko. Other hires that we've made in the past couple of years, George Mergen is the director of marketing and PR, and he's been on board for a little better than 2 years now. He starts to pick up some of the day-to-day management of the PR and marketing staff, communications guys in the office, and that frees me up to spend a little bit more time trying to grow the ARCA business and the ARCA brand, not only the big tour, but some of the other initiatives that we've embarked on, including the ARCA CRA Super Series.
Mark, I want to ask you, I know business is maybe the most important part of what a series does, But I also know that you and Ron Drager and Don Radebaugh and all of you are race fans as well. And I was thinking about this interview last night and this morning. And in 2008, Steve and I got an opportunity, thanks to you and Ron and everybody at ARCA, to do some race calls for the series and travel a little bit with the series. And I think we got lucky in I don't profess to be a historian when it comes to ARCA history, but that 2008 season has to go down, I would think, as one of the best racing seasons in the big ARCA National Touring Series. Would you agree or disagree? I'm thinking about guys like Scott Speed and Ricky Stenhouse and Justin Allgaier, who we just had on the show. I think Joey Logano won at Daytona that year, and a lot of Frank Kimmel, of course. Just a terrific season, and we really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was definitely one of the highlight seasons in the 60-year history of the series, with a number of different race event winners, a number of different pole winners,
right?
And then that championship battle coming down to that last race at Toledo, and anybody who was there will never forget Scott Speed and Ricky Stenhouse taking each other out of title contention. Allgaier slipping in to not only win the race but the championship, and Kimmel's first year on his own away from Larry Clement, winning 3 races as an independent and just missing the title. It was a great year.
Yeah. Since that year as well, do you feel that the series has changed its focus a little bit, or maybe that was the year that it started to change its focus away from the independent kind of guy, more to the driver development type series where you had guys like Venturini that'll field 4 or 5 or 6 cars depending on people who will buy that seat time from them, and they're not the only one. Wintron does similar things. A lot of these guys are in that ballpark type thing. Was that kind of the turning point, or did it start before or after that, where the series has kind of changed focus a little bit?
I think that the makeup of the series has changed its direction a bit, and it probably started maybe in 07 already, but we all really started to see this shift in 08 and 09 and of course over the last 3 years. But I think more so than the series changing direction, I think the economy had an awful lot to do with it. The teams seeking funding and the corporate sponsorship dollars being harder and harder to get, people had to adjust and react and adapt to what the market had to offer. And a lot of it is this development opportunity that ARCA certainly offers young kids who either are independently funded or have had some long-term sponsorship deals, find the opportunity to step up in class at a young age, and it's it's all or nothing for those guys at that stage. And we've seen it back as early as 05 and 06 when a kid like Joey Miller would come in pretty well funded and run for Rookie of the Year and just missed winning a championship in his rookie year, and off he goes to the Truck Series. Unfortunately, the funding dries up and he's only able to make it through a half a year. Blake Bjorklund the next year, pretty much the same thing. Wins Rookie of the Year off to the Truck Series, and the money dries up. So I don't know necessarily that it was ARCA or the series changing focus or changing direction as much as it was teams having to adapt to the economy and the opportunities made available to them.
We're talking with Mark Gundrum from ARCA. And Mark, before I let you go, the last thing I wanted to talk about, when the Cup Series went to the Car of Tomorrow, it left an awful lot of cars available to guys in the ARCA Series to buy a bunch of cars at a relatively inexpensive price. There will be a huge change in NASCAR again next year as they change from what is the current Car of Tomorrow to the next Car of Tomorrow. Do we see a point in ARCA where, again, cars might be available and a change might be made, or is that farther down the road?
It's talked about in our office on a pretty regular basis. Interestingly enough, each time we talk about the Car tomorrow, we talk about moving its potential introduction into the ARCA series back even further. We're now talking, 2015, maybe somewhere in that time frame. And I think, that's really smart on our part. I mean, NASCAR wouldn't be going to the next generation of the car tomorrow this soon if they had all the bugs worked out. So we're going to let them do what they do best. They're the industry leader. They're the standard in the sport. And as they develop this technology and get it right, at some point, if it makes sense for us to go to that type of car, to that type of technology, then of course we'll look at it, especially if it has economic benefits both to our participants and to the NASCAR teams who need a place to move that equipment that still has life left in it, but it's not wore out. In the meantime, I think what you've seen is a lot of the technology, specifically from a safety perspective. We've been able to adapt that to this current car, the old Cup car. Anybody who watched our race from Talladega last Friday, watched the guy barrel roll down the front stretch at 180 miles an hour and flip 8.5 times and basically walk away from the wreck. We hate to see that kind of stuff, but it sure says a lot about the advancements that have been made in safety. And, NASCAR leads the way, and we're fortunate enough to be able to benefit from a lot of those resources.
All right, before I let you go, is there any super insider nugget piece of information that we can scoop out of you right now as far as what's going to happen excitement-wise in the ARCA series either the end of this year or begin next year?
Let's talk about this weekend real quick. This race is scheduled for a live broadcast on Speed, and a combination of the network and the sanctioning body have decided that we're not going to air it live. We're going to air it same-day delay in the interest of allowing race fans to watch racing on Sunday afternoon. I don't know if that's made it onto ARCARacing.com or not yet, but those of you who can't make it out to the race would be able to watch it at 5 o'clock Eastern on Speed, but nothing like being there in person. As far as what the future holds, we continue to look to expand our corporate partnership base in our market. We look to continue to grow the regional series opportunities, like the ARCA CRA series that we've now partnered with. This vertical integration going all the way from Toledo Speedway right up to the big tour, and a lot more cooperation and communication amongst the properties.
As always, Mark, thanks so much for spending time with us. We'll see you this weekend, and have fun on your trip back from Wisconsin.
Hey, I'm up in God's country, but looking forward to getting back to the Glass City.
All right.
Mark. Thanks a lot,
Take
Mark.
care, Mark. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Mark Gundrum, one of the good guys.
Yep.